What's going on, guys? We are back for yet another Marvel Godzilla story with Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe, written by Jerry Duggan. And this one starts out crazy. It doesn't waste any time. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so going into this, we start out with the Mole Man, and we're told here once upon a time deep under the earth lived a powerful king, the Mole Man. Like many smaller monarchs, he hated that which he could not subjugate. Everything under the surface was his, yet he craved conquest of the surface world. His subjects discovered a unique deposit of vibranium, infused with unstable molecules. A powerful weapon was forged. Mole Man was not a wise ruler. If he were, he would know there's always a bigger, badder king. And that king's long peaceful slumber was at an end. So yeah, this new weapon that the Mole Man has made from the deposit of vibranium and unstable molecules, it's got Godzilla's attention, and the king of monsters ain't liking it. But I also want to mention here with this vibranium being fused with unstable molecules. Unstable molecules is something we were introduced to in Fantastic Four Volume 1, with Reed explaining that his costume is woven from chemical fibers containing unstable molecules that are able to shift in structure and mimic his abilities. In overtime, we would see more of this. It's why Johnny's clothes don't catch on fire. We'd see it later in the Super Adaptoid, who could copy anyone's powers. So with this vibranium being infused with unstable molecules, it's a big deal, and that's why Godzilla's not too happy about it. And now following this, we jump forward 4 days later to the Baxter building, where at this point there's been a series of earthquakes ever since. With Reed noticing that the Earth's crust is rising quickly below the city, he tells the others that he thinks something's about to break through. But Johnny's not too excited about it because he has tickets to go see the basketball game today, only for Sue to tell him, "Johnny, that team can barely sink baskets when the court isn't shaking. Can you please focus on what's important?" And right there is like, man, is she talking about the Knicks or the Nets? She probably talking about the Nets. But after that, without warning, something huge burrows its way up from under Manhattan, with that something being a celestial. Which right here just reminds me of the Dark Ages story we covered, when the heroes went deep inside of the earth to stop a celestial, only to get wrecked. And I mean most of them, anyway. But nonetheless, this plays out very differently, though still not great for the heroes, but I'm sure you guys picked that up already from the title. But as soon as this celestial arrives, Reed tells the others how the earth is a kind of egg for the celestial. And right away this has Ben like, man, you knew this thing was up under us the whole time? And Reed's just like, of course, but it wasn't supposed to awaken for almost 1,000,000 years. And that's when Reed says here, something very disruptive must have happened to the subterranean ecosystem, which as we'll see is undoubtedly the case. So next, Johnny, he goes to run interference and get the Celestial's attention, just before Mole Man pops out of the ground like, help me please, Fantastic Four, help. So Reed does the neck stretch thing all the way down to Mole Man to have a word with him. And Reed asks him, what happened to awaken the Celestial? What have you done? And Mole Man tells him the Celestial is not the problem. That is, it's Godzilla. And I gotta say, when Godzilla shows up here, it is on site with the Celestial. Cause Godzilla goes to work like he's trying to get out of here and beat traffic on the way home. But as this fight goes on, and it's not a long one, which is crazy. But as this fight goes on, we're told here, Mole Man had long dreamed of destroying the surface world, if he could not conquer it. And now he may get his terrible wish. Celestials were designed to survive in the infinite void of outer space, and the raging infernos at the center of planets, but not Godzilla, as the king of monsters literally tears this celestial to pieces, just proving even more that he's built different, just tearing it apart like, look at your insides, we're not the same. But I'll also say at the same time, an argument could be made where you could be like, yeah, well, this celestial, he wasn't done cooking yet. You know, he still had another 1,000,000 years to bake. And I mean, that would also be a very valid point. But even still, destroying a celestial, it makes a statement. And that's why when Godzilla makes light work of this thing, the Fantastic Four is just looking at him like, yo, Godzilla's a killer. So Reed turns to the others and he's just like, okay, nobody do anything. Nobody even move. And it's right here where Mole Man uses his new staff with the vibranium and unstable molecules to hit Godzilla in the back. And Godzilla just turns around with this look that's basically like, oh, you want some of this too, old man? So right here, Reed Richards does what any sensible person would do, and he just punches Mole Man like, you dumb mother. No, he's like, damn you, Mole Man, because now Godzilla's spinning the block. So Ben's like, oh crud, it looks like it's getting clobbered time. But then Sue's like, stay close guys, because he knows she's about to create a dome to protect them. But when Reed says, don't forget Mole Man, darling, I'd have been like, hey, if you decide to leave him out, that's cool too. nobody's gonna judge you. And the next thing we see is Godzilla just stomp right on top of them. Though they do manage to survive as a result of Sue putting up a force field just in time to cover all 5 of them. But then it's also here where Reed puts out a broadcast on the emergency frequencies for the Avengers and the X-Men, telling them all to rally to the Baxter building for a level 10 threat. And right there, Ben's like, we're gonna need a bigger threat number, like 11 or 54. And this ends up leading to Ben and the others making room for Reed to take Mole Man's staff back to his lab, in hopes of Reed being able to examine it and figure out something. And as you would imagine, Reed is very fascinated by the unique properties of this vibranium. But with no time to spare here, they all get to work. And just minutes later, when a group of the Avengers arrive, Captain America and Captain Marvel try to steer Godzilla towards the river, while Scarlet Witch tries to keep people safe from falling debris, and Black Panther puts Quicksilver on crowd control. And this is all in addition to Sue placing her force field around the buildings in Godzilla's path, while we see Quicksilver race through these different buildings to get all the civilians to safety. And when he does, it's like a scene out of one of the movies. And I mean the Fox movies, not Age of Ultron. Cause man, killing a speedster with a bullet, that's a whole new level of disrespect. But I guess the script said bullet time and somebody misinterpreted that. But either way, Quicksilver's getting these people out of here expeditiously. And while this is going on, Godzilla has a hold of Ben Grimm, and Ben's not happy about it. And then you also got Johnny, who's telling Sue how Iceman would be very useful right now, only for Sue to tell him that she thinks the X-Men are off Earth again, which is why we haven't seen them show up yet. But also Sue's over here like, Quicksilver, you gotta hurry, cause Godzilla's pushing through. And as soon as she says that, Godzilla breaks through, shattering her force field, just before walking through this building like a bead curtain, while still holding Ben. And seeing this lets them know that Reed has less time than what they had hoped for. So Sue reaches out to Reed on the comms to more or less encourage him to get things rolling. And right there, Captain America's just like, hurry up, Reed, because the clock is ticking. And as Godzilla's just walking through this building, just completely destroying it, Quicksilver's the only one who's calm here because he's like, yep, got everyone out, even the goldfish. And he even had time to grab some donuts before getting here, which he probably took out of one of the offices in the building. But right here, Black Panther's just like, we don't have the might to fight this thing yet. I have an idea, but I want to examine this vibranium weapon Mr. Fantastic has recovered. So Sue lets Reed know that T'Challa's on the way, while in the meantime, the rest of them will keep fighting. And it's right here where Johnny's like, can't we just push it into New Jersey? And now it's just like, man, why you gotta do Jersey like that? But with the heroes continuing their plan of trying to guide Godzilla towards the water, it's here where Reed is like, wait Cap, don't force it back into the ocean. And he tells him to instead bring it towards the Baxter building. And now this moment is immediately followed by the arrival of Thor, who admits that he was running late because he had to physically rebuke a drunken frost giant, cause you know, stuff like that takes time. And when he gets there, he tells Godzilla, you there, depart from Manhattan expeditiously, or feel the wrath of my Uru mallet. And I don't know why, but whenever I hear somebody use the word expeditiously, with it pertaining to some sort of confrontation or altercation, I think of T.I. But basically Thor's just telling Godzilla here, we can do this either the easy way or the hard way. And since Godzilla didn't respond, Thor's like, okay, we can do this the hard way. But when Thor goes in to attack, Godzilla just smacks Thor with his tail, sending Thor into orbit. And Captain Marvel's just watching this like, oof, I guess I'll go get him. And now following this, when we go back over to Reed, for a moment here, we're given more details on this Godzilla's backstory, with him saying here the threat's name is Godzilla. It first arrived from the sea in Japan long ago. Its sporadic appearances began as curses. Sometimes they were blessings as it fought to assert dominance over the world's kaiju. Godzilla returns to the sea after waging war. In truth, perhaps Godzilla's never tasted defeat. The Mole Man's vibranium discovery has greatly upset the balance of its natural habitat. And all of this has Reed like it's almost too horrible to consider what has to be done in a moment like this. And now when T'Challa makes his way there, he takes a look at Mole Man's staff and this unique vibranium. And he tells Reed here this vibranium alloy could only have been formed over tens of thousands of years under a tremendous amount of pressure. And so T'Challa, he knows this because his family knows vibranium. His forefathers had been consuming herbs infused with it for generations. So just by looking at this staff, he's like, oh yeah, this that loud. But in Reed's case, since he's taken the staff, he spent more time focusing on learning more about Godzilla in general. And I'm talking about from the start of this story. So he just hasn't had that much time. And what he ends up doing is just telling T'Challa to get Godzilla moving towards the Baxter building. And when the time comes, don't wait, he'll be ready. And now back over with Godzilla. At this point, Ben, he's had enough embarrassment with him being held this whole time. And so he bites Godzilla, which then gets him tossed into the Daily Bugle, only to crash right through J. Jonah Jameson's desk. And as Ben leaves, he says, sorry, Mr. Jameson. Can't believe Spidey tried the lizard serum and turned into this giant monster. And right there, Jameson's like, I knew it. And you better believe Ben knew what he was doing right there. But aside from this, Wanda's hex powers are showing no effect on Godzilla. and Sue's force fields are only able to do so much. So Sue makes a call to Doctor Strange, who's currently handling an interdimensional parasite at the Sanctum Sanctorum. So he lets her know when he's done with this, he'll be right over. And right now on the rooftop of the Daily Bugle, we got Captain America, who's very much about to have a Captain America moment, because he gives Godzilla this speech and not really knowing if the creature will understand it, but he goes on saying things like, "Where I'm from, you punch a bully right in the nose." And what he's doing here is basically drawing the line and telling Godzilla to either leave here and go back to sleep, or stay here and maybe end up sleeping forever. And he frames it in a way where it's like, we're the Avengers, we fought big monsters before, so we're not backing down. But the thing is, when you see the size of Godzilla right in front of Cap, and I mean, we know that Godzilla already punches above its weight, which is a lot of weight already. So seeing this shot where it's like Cap standing up to Godzilla, it's noble, and it's definitely something Captain America would do. But at the same time, when Cap hears that atomic breath charging up, he holds up his shield and he peeks out from behind it with a look in his eye that's like, well, it's been fun. But when Godzilla takes the shot, it bounces off of Cap's shield right back to Godzilla's chest, opening it wide up and stopping his heart for just a moment, only for his heartbeat to kick back up again, and before you know it, the big guy's back in the fight, and he's going after Captain America, which helps in a way because they are trying to lure Godzilla to the Baxter building. So now with all of this going back to Reed, time's basically up, because now the big guy's just a few steps away, and as it turns out, Reed's plan is to open a portal to the negative zone as a way to get rid of Godzilla. But at this point, with the big guy moving in at full speed, he just lunges through the Baxter building, tearing off the top portion, which causes Reed's negative zone portal to swing back and send nearly everyone to the negative zone, with the exception of Black Panther, since Captain Marvel was able to get back in time and get T'Challa to the ground safely. But also Carol lets them know that she brought Thor back, but right after that he flew off in a rage, likely in his feelings. Like he gonna cry in the Bifrost. No, I'm joking, cause Thor's still here, he's just off to the side taking a nap. But right now, with T'Challa having Mole Man's staff, he tells the others that he's got to get back to Wakanda because he believes that he can use it to cook up something that'll stop Godzilla. So right away, Carol tells Wanda to get T'Challa to Wakanda, but as you might imagine, Johnny, his main concern is getting his family back because Sue, Ben, and Reed were up there when the portal opened. So Carol just tells Johnny here that he's got to box up his grief for a moment because the world needs the Human Torch. And at one point he asked her, and if the Fantastic Four is gone, and that's what she tells him, then we avenge them together. And now with these guys seeing what Godzilla's just done to the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, now they're like, we're gonna need all the help we can get. And that's when we see even more help on the way, with us seeing Gwen, both of the Spider-Man, Iron Man, Luke Cage, Deadpool, Daredevil, and Iron Fist on the way. With Deadpool being like, would we be the new Avengers? Or maybe in a twist, we're the new Thunderbolts. Well, at this point, there's no telling what team name Deadpool will land on, but I got a feeling by the time this is all over, the only thing we're going to be calling is Time of Death, because there's no way Godzilla kills the Marvel Universe. It's going to send us off with a happy ending. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.